This is lesson 3 of the bonus module on natural wellness. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about gut health and the microbiome, and we'll learn a little bit why these are very important for us to know and how the chemicals in our daily lives are also affecting our gut health, as well as some of the other toxic kind of influences that we have in our environment. We as a society know that gut health is important, and we're starting to pay attention to the gut-brain connection. Just like a farmer has to take care of the quality of the soil in order for his crops to thrive, we also need to take care of our bodies as if they were soil, and specifically taking care of the gut. Sometimes we have to change the soil in order for good to grow, so health and wellness, or something bad not to grow, diseases. And an important part of your soil is in your gut. When looking at our body's soil and our gut, it is really important that we also take into consideration the growing practices of the things we put into our bodies. Essentially, we need to be concerned about the soil that is being used to plant the foods that we eat or to feed the animals that bring us dairy and meat. Why is this so important? Because all of that bacteria from the actual soil is then transported into your body and gut as well. So it is not just about our own body, but also about what we put in our body. So let's take a closer look, and let's look more specifically at the microbiome that actually lives in the gut. You actually consist of about 10% human cells and 90% microbial cells. The collective genome, or your genetic information of all your microorganisms such as bacteria, fungi, etc., is what makes up the microbiome. Most of your microbiome, about 90%, actually lives in your gut. The other percent is living in your skin, your hair, etc. These microbes in your gut help to digest food, support your immune system, detoxify, produce vitamins, metabolize drugs, prevent adherence of bad bacteria to the gut wall, maintain gut health, and influence your brain. Food matters. You are what you eat. What you eat will determine how your microbiome looks. Microbes eat first. Anything and everything that alters your microbiome will have an effect on your health and wellness, either positively or negatively. In today's civilized world, the negative impacts on the microbiome largely outnumber the positive impacts. Our microbiome affects our health. Dysbiosis in the gut leads to whole body inflammation and a weak immune system. Low diversity of the microbiome leads to gut permeability, which is leaky gut syndrome, which has a direct influence on food allergies and sensitivities and autoimmune diseases. That means that low diversity in the microbiome leads to things like diabetes, autism, asthma, eczema, metabolic syndrome, including obesity. And inflammation from an unhealthy microbiome leads to inflammation of the neurological system, including brain, spinal cord, and nerves. Research suggests communication between gut and brain, and also in terms of anxiety, depression, cognitive impairment, and autism. The microbiome plays a role in the formation of the blood-brain barrier, nerve and brain myelination, neurogenesis, and microglia maturation. And the gut is the key to our brain. There's absolutely a strong connection between your brain, your gut, exercise, and your lifestyle. This is why it is so important to really start having a toxin-free lifestyle. So what determines your microbiome? Things that play a part in this include things like your birth. Were you born vaginally or via C-section? Were you breastfed or bottle fed? Nutrition. What is your nutrition? Are you eating whole foods or are you eating packaged foods? Do you exercise? Age. Your microbiome changes as you age. Stress affects your microbiome. Medications, so for example, antibiotics will affect your microbiome. Water treatments. A lot of the water that comes out of our taps is treated with various chemicals. GMOs and glyphosate-treated plants and crops, those all affect our microbiome also. And the meat industry with its antibiotics and its GMOs. And it also depends on your geographic location. So let's take a little look at GMOs. So these are genetically modified organisms. First, introduced into the food supply in the mid-1990s and are now present in the vast majority of processed and packaged foods in the US. GMOs are banned as food ingredients in Europe and elsewhere, but the FDA does not even require the labeling of GMOs in our food ingredients list in North America. Canada is a little bit better than the US, but still not great. Most common GMO foods include corn, soy, cotton, rice, canola, potato, sugar beets, milk and dairy products, squash, tomatoes, and salmon. So basically, many of the things we eat and also many of the things that we wear are filled with GMOs. How do you think that interferes with the bacteria on your skin and in your gut? There is definitely going to be a reaction between the GMO bacteria and that of your microbiome. So why GMO? Why did this even become a thing? Well, farmers and the government decided to add GMOs in to alter the genetic information to make plants or animals bigger, nicer, and more colorful, to make them resistant to things like certain pesticides and herbicides, and to increase the yield at harvest time. Crops in general are genetically modified to be resistant to something called glyphosate, which is in Roundup weed killer that in at least North America or in the US is still available to buy in the stores. It is now banned in Canada. The reason for this is so that these crops can be sprayed with this weed killer without killing the plant, but it's still deterring the weeds. It's crazy. Glyphosate is something that is banned in Europe and other parts of the world, but like I mentioned, it's still available in certain products like Roundup in the US. Think about this. Do you have one of those full body suits that these people who spray the crops wear to protect themselves? Do all the members of your family have these like moon suit type things? Do you really want to not only expose yourself to these chemicals, but also to be eating these on the foods that they get sprayed with? This glyphosate is being found in rivers, lakes, creeks, streams, rainfall samples, and it accounts for over 50% of the food contamination in the US. This is being sprayed on things like oats, wheat, barley, and other crops, so there's a good chance you're getting your first dose of this for breakfast. This is also found in most conventional foods, but it is significantly less in organic foods. And to make this even more scary, it's also found in antibiotics. And antibiotics affect the gut negatively by destroying the bacteria in the gut, regardless of whether it is good bacteria or bad bacteria. Now, antibiotics do help with serious diseases. However, they are definitely overprescribed and being misused, which is causing a negative effect on our bodies, specifically through this microbiome and our gut. It's kind of scary. Let's revisit this quote that I had at the beginning. Research is showing an average of 200 chemicals found in umbilical cord blood. That's crazy. These chemicals are found in unborn babies, which means that these chemicals are being absorbed by the mother. So the question then becomes, what are we doing to ourselves? What can we do? Well, you can buy organic. It actually does make a big difference because of the pesticides which gets absorbed at alarmingly fast rates into our bodies. Rethink the sterilization of everything. Because when we live in a sterile world and have less exposure to different bacteria, our bodies are not able to build up the immunity. Babies exposed to household bacteria are actually less likely to develop allergies, wheezing, and asthma. Rethink your antibacterial soaps as well. These are full of these different toxins and chemicals that we're talking about. And they were initially made to kill the bacteria, but now the FDA has finally banned some of the ingredients and toxins that were found in antibacterial hand soaps because they found that they didn't even work. So if you have some of those at home, just throw them out. Replace them with natural soaps, such as like I use the Thieves hand soap from Young Living. Rethink what we put on our skin. Your skin is full of bacteria and it's part of the microbiome of your body. Now think about every time you put chemicals on your skin, whether it is makeup or shampoo or body wash or lotion, or whether it is your clothes that are made with GMO cotton or have been washed with chemical-laden laundry detergent. Of course, this is going to have a huge impact on your microbiome. And then think about what you put in your mouth. And I'm not just talking about food, but think about your toothpaste. We don't want any fluoride in our body because it actually goes right to the brain. So there's some small changes that we can make. For example, probiotics help the gut to reinstill that good bacteria. And you can get probiotics not just from supplements like the Young Living's Life 9 supplement, but you can eat and drink probiotics as well. Probiotics are found in yogurt, specifically Bulgarian and Greek yogurt, and also in kefir. They're found in sauerkraut, in miso, in kimchi, kombucha, apple cider vinegar is really great, tempeh and natto, and also in some dark chocolate, but it has to be the higher percentage. Other small changes that we can make to help our gut is essential oils. All of these toxins, herbicides, pesticides, they all accumulate in the fatty tissue in our body, and they also work as xenoestrogens, which wreak havoc on the brain and our bodies. Essential oils are actually very tiny molecules that can pass the blood-brain barrier, which is why we see so many effects from essential oils when you inhale them or apply them topically to your skin. This is why they really support your brain and its emotional stability as well. And I'll definitely talk a little bit more about essential oils in the next lesson. And then finally, Young Living has a drink that's called Ningxia Red. This is a powerful puree drink that is rich in polyphenols that help to support a healthy microbiome. FYI, red wine also has this compound in it. And this is actually one of the top products in Young Living. It's a blend, it's a holistic food. It has wolfberry juice, blueberry juice, pomegranate juice, aronia berry juice, cherries, grapeseed extract, plum juice, essential oils, and they actually also use vanillin from vanilla oil, which is for a taste, but it's also used as a natural preservative. So they don't even add artificial preservatives. And then there's also the prebiotic fibers from the pectin, and this drink also has really high antioxidant activity. In this lesson, we learned about gut health and the microbiome and why these are so important for us in terms of our health and wellness and living above the wellness line. We also looked at GMOs and why those are actually wreaking havoc on our health and our bodies. We looked at some small changes and recommendations that you can make to get started, and also some easy switch ideas to help overcome and also to help improve your gut health and your microbiome. Up next, lesson 4 is going to be about aromatherapy and essential oils.